Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe to this channel right now. We'll have a live stream today at about 3:30 p.m. Eastern. Be there for the live stream. Ladies and gentlemen, John Brennan is going to be almost certainly indicted. He's essentially already indicted and charged with the same types of criminal counts as James Comey. James Comey was charged with obstruction of justice in addition to lying under oath. So, obstruction of justice, we don't know exactly how he obstructed justice. That's very interesting. We can also assume that not only did John Brennan lie under oath numerous times, you'll hear that, but the spin, and this is a wonderful publication, the spin now is that, well, Tulsi Gabbard withdrew security clearances. And now, according to four Trump administration officials tell Axios, why would Trump administration officials who have any sense of, let's just say, logic or reason, as opposed to just decency or, loyalty. Let's just use logic and reason. Why would any Trump administration official tell Axios that Tulsi Gabbard harmed the indictment or the prosecution of John Brennan by withdrawing security clearances? The whole purpose of withdrawing a security clearance from any individual is that that individual was either tied or loyal to the Democratic Party or bent or determined to undermine Trump. That's the point for the security clearances to be withdrawn. That the individual who had the security clearance withdrawn or taken away from him or her was after Trump, utilizing the security clearance to harm the Trump administration, just like they've done for the past 10 years. Just like the people who said that Hunter's laptop was a Russian disinformation campaign, which was, of course, a lie that social media companies and others used to censor people. But anyway, we have John Radcliffe stating not long ago, just months back, that Comey and Brennan and Clinton should be indicted. So Clinton will be indicted also, almost certainly. Okay, that would be under the conspiracy statutes, because the conspiracy statutes don't have a statute of limitation. Their statute of limitations end when the conspiracy ends. They try to set up and frame Trump. We know this from the ODNI declassified documents. Okay, this is here. CIA Director Brennan mischaracterized intelligence, misled lawmakers. And we can look right here. Check this out really quickly, ladies and gentlemen. And then we'll get to the actual testimony from Brennan.
James Brennan and James Comey are likely regretting going all in on the Russia hoax now, because DOJ sources are telling Fox Digital that the FBI indeed has launched a criminal investigation into the former CIA director and former FBI director for potential wrongdoing related to the Trump-Russia probe and all the alleged false statements made to Congress. The full scope of the investigation is unclear right now, but two sources describe the FBI's view of the duo's interactions as, quote, a conspiracy. Here to break it down, Jonathan Turley, George Washington University law prof and Fox News contributor. Jonathan, we've been hearing for some time about Brennan's alleged perjury over his role in the Steele dossier and the advancement of that, and perhaps understanding that that was not credible. Your reaction tonight to this stunning development?
Well, it's obviously a major development. These are two of the top people in the American intelligence system. And there have been these long unanswered questions about what they told Congress. At points, they both seem to adopt the Sergeant Schultz approach of, I knew nothing. If only I knew, I would have done something. That didn't strike many as being very credible. Both of these tend to be somewhat of micromanagers. They take pride in the fact that they followed the details of their departments. And it all comes down particularly to a period in 2017, an intelligence community assessment, an ICA, that went out and viewed the Steele dossier, that infamous dossier funded by the Clinton campaign, as credible, and that in fact Steele was credible. They knew that was not true.
So they knew that was not true, and they not only they hid behind bureaucracy. Okay, so the indictment of Brennan is almost certain. Basically, it's already written. Comey was the first one, but with James Comey, he was writing terrible messages on with seashell formations, like so ridiculous. In addition to the fact that he used the dossier to intimidate and try to set up Trump, along with Brennan, but you had Comey initially out in the forefront, leaking memos and almost certainly leaking information to media sources, telling Andrew McCabe to leak information. What's taken place, and you can see, I'm not saying that this article in Axios was leaked for a specific purpose. I'm not saying that. But you have these articles now saying Tulsi Gabbard undermined John Brennan's indictment. Why? Well, because she took the security clearance away from witnesses. But those people wouldn't have testified against Brennan anyway. They had their security clearance taken for a reason. My God, the spin is just like the spin with Comey and McCabe. Oh, career prosecutors have stated that Comey shouldn't be indicted, that there was no probable cause. Sources say from the New York Times, sources say. Oh, really? You mean journalists have found that sources say that Comey and Brennan shouldn't be indicted? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's really bizarre. Why would journalists find sources to say that? But anyway, let's continue. This is some of the perjury.
More rigid on certain issues, particularly on human rights and other issues.
But what was Donald Trump going to do for them then? Or was it just that they didn't like Hillary?
No, I think they felt that Mr. Trump, being a bit of an outsider, and that they have in the past had some good relations with businessmen who happened to elevate into positions of government authority, and so felt as though, from a negotiating standpoint, that he might be more amenable to.
So good relations. What if that's true? One of the questions that I have, and this might be more appropriate for closed session, but if that's true, was there in your review of the evidence, was there more damaging evidence of Secretary Clinton that was not revealed? And if it wasn't revealed, what does that say about the Russian ability to be actually rooting for her to win?
Well, yeah, we can talk about it in close, but as I said, I think that they anticipated that Secretary Clinton was going to win the election. And so I believe that they tried to damage and bloody her before the election. But also, I would have anticipated that had she been elected, that their efforts to denigrate her and hurt her would have continued during her presidency. So if they did collect more information about her that they did not release, I think they were probably husbanding it for another day.
All lies. All lies. We know from the ODNI report, declassified documents from Tulsi Gabbard, this is all complete and utter nonsense. New evidence uncovers Obama-directed creation of false intelligence report used to launch years-long coup to undermine President Trump and the American people. It's all nonsense. Russia never wanted either candidate. It certainly never wanted Trump. There was zero evidence that Russia wanted Trump. Say that a million times, morally superior, highly educated Democrat that had to create a new Cold War because you lost miserably to Trump. The liberals and progressives and people on the left, and it's like if you're like over 45 years old, and I was a liberal my whole life, or progressive, or on the left my whole life up until about 8 years ago, when I realized President Trump was the anti-war choice. Yes, opposing endless wars is a very moral, just thing, infinitely more just and moral than promoting a political party that cheats their own candidates in primaries, like they did with Bernie Sanders and with Biden, and then promotes endless military conflict. But see, the thing is, they lied. If you were over 45, you learned that the McCarthy era was a very bad time in American history. They recreated a new Cold War, ladies and gentlemen. Hit subscribe to this channel right now.